joining us, which is very exciting. If you have not already, we recommend that you go to the top right corner of your screen and click view. Oops, my earpiece, and click view and place your computer in speaker view setting. Throughout the morning, if you have any questions, you can always click on the Q&A or chat at the bottom of your screen and type those questions in, and we'll make sure we get to them as soon as possible. We want to welcome everyone this morning. Thank you for joining us for our monthly brain health series. Today we have two guests with us this morning. We typically have Jennifer Brush, which many of you are familiar with, and Jennifer works along with our guest this morning, Marty and Bonnie, both from the Ohio Council for Cognitive Health, which is the state lead in Dementia Friends for Ohio. So this morning we will introduce Bonnie and Marty, and then they will go through the Dementia Friends training for all of us this morning. So welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here. And Bonnie, I don't know if you want to start out first and give us a little background on the Ohio Council.
Thank you, Marla, and good morning, everyone. As Marla said, I am Bonnie Burman, and I have the privilege of being the president of the Ohio Council for Cognitive Health. And I have to tell you, I am such a huge fan of Kendal at Home, and you've all made these great decisions. And I love the educational programs that you are participating in. As Marla said, we work very closely with Jen Brush, and she has told us how much she values these sessions. And she really is very sorry that she's not able to join us today. But as you will see, once Marty begins the presentation, we share the same philosophical underpinnings and perspective as Jen. We believe that even as we all experience cognitive changes, we have the ability to live our lives with as much purpose, joy, and meaning as possible. And we believe that everyone in the community has a role in helping all of us do that. And after the presentation today, I think you will see all of the different roles that are available. And we absolutely look forward at the end of the presentation of hearing your thoughts on how we could proceed and any role you would like in enhancing your own community. So with that, Marty, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thanks, Bonnie. And I also echo Bonnie's comments. It's great to be with all of you today. And we're really excited to present this Dementia Friends session for you. It will go about an hour, and we like to keep it interactive. So certainly if you have any questions, please put those into chat and we will respond to those. And I'm just gonna take it away here. We are able to present this program today with grant support from the Health and Human Services Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program. We call that GWEP for short. And so that GWEP grant is designed to just educate individuals in all different sectors, especially in the healthcare profession, students who are going into medicine, nursing, physical therapy, about all issues related to aging, and certainly dementia falls in that category. So we're really excited and thankful that we're part of that GWEP grant. We work with a lot of great partners, and as a result, we're able to share this program. So Dementia Friends is actually a social action movement that was developed in the United Kingdom. And Dementia Friends USA obtained the program from the United Kingdom. What I really like about this program is that the curriculum was developed based on surveys of individuals who are living with dementia. And over 60% of the people that were surveyed said that they felt like their community as a whole didn't know how to help them live well with dementia. Individuals didn't know how to help engage them, to communicate with them. A lot of folks didn't understand the basic definition of the word dementia. So I love the fact that this program was based on survey results, which I think is how a lot of our curricula should be, correct? So it's not only an education program, but it's also this call to action program where we really at the end challenge our audiences to think about what they can do as one person or part of a bigger group to affect the life of someone that's living with dementia. It might be something as simple as, when I make a casserole, I'm going to double it and I'm going to take the other portion over to my neighbor because that person's in a caregiving situation, or that individual is living with dementia. I'm just going to help them out with a meal once a week or once a month. Or it could be on the other end of the spectrum where I join a clinical trial around dementia to help find answers and to find solutions. So big or small, it's a call to action program. We also, as part of this program, really want to try to get people to think about the words that they use when we talk about dementia. We want to try to chip away at the stigma that surrounds dementia. So a lot of times, the words that people associate with dementia, to be honest with you, they're on the negative side. This is what we hear from a lot of audiences when they say, and their honest responses. These are the words that typically come to mind, but we want to challenge our audiences to think about more positive words. For example, I've heard from folks that, I heard someone recently say, it's fresh joy. My family member has trouble with their short-term memory, but you know what? Every time they see something, and they might not remember it, but that brings them fresh joy, new joy. Another woman said, my mom always worried. She called her a worrywart. And she said, it's just kind of nice to see my mom not worry as much. The dementia has kind of let loose of some of those worries that she once had. So again, I think a big part of this program is to challenge the stigma. People are not demented. They are living with dementia. People don't lose all their memories. Sometimes I hear people say, oh, you know, Joe can't remember a darn thing. Well, if Joe is living with dementia, Joe is most likely to have strong long-term memories. So that's where we want to go with our conversations with Joe. We don't want to quiz him about what happened this morning, but we can have great, inspiring conversations based on that person's long-term memories. This next little video is 2 minutes, and it really sets up what Dementia Friends is all about. You're going to see a lot of different community sectors represented in this video: the library, the grocery store, transportation. And the message here is that we all in the community need to understand what dementia is, so that when we encounter someone in our networks, we can better respond and help them through their day. Takes just a little bit to load it here. Well, usually not this long, but I think we're coming here. Sorry about the delay. I apologize for the delay here.
If you saw someone living with dementia, would you recognize the signs? Would you be uncomfortable? Would you avoid them? Would you be frustrated? Would you do nothing? Or would you be a friend? Would you engage them and empower them to get through their day? Would you welcome the opportunity to help them feel like a part of your community? Would you take even the smallest step to make their world less frightening or confusing? Every single one of us has a unique part to play in the lives of people living with dementia in our community. Become a dementia friend today and build communities where all people can live, age, and thrive.
Hey, Mr. Fredrickson, it's Tuesday. Aren't you going to the store?
Yeah.
Come on, I'll walk with you.
Find out more at dementiafriendsusa.org.
I personally just love that video. And what's nice is we're going to be sending you a slide deck from this presentation today. So you'll be able to watch these videos again. You'll be even able to copy that hyperlink at the top of the slide and share it with other people. So I think that just does a nice job of setting up what this whole program is about. As I mentioned, the program really wants everyone to understand the basic definition of dementia. And we do this in kind of an unusual way here. We tell you first what it's not. So dementia is not a specific disease. It's really this umbrella term. And under that umbrella, we describe a wide range of symptoms, short-term memory trouble, changes in communication, difficulty with decision-making, and just being able to get through our activities of daily living. We call them ADLs. It's difficulty getting through those ADLs. That's what we associate with the term dementia. Now, there are many, many kinds of dementia. The most common one is Alzheimer's disease. That accounts for about 60 to 80% of all cases of dementia. In this smaller bubble here, though, you see that there are other kinds of dementia: Lewy body dementia, frontal temporal dementia, vascular dementia. The list goes on and on. There's actually over 80 different kinds of dementia, but these are the most common ones here, with the bulk of the cases due to the disease, Alzheimer's disease. Now, we also want to acknowledge what impact COVID has had on those that have memory difficulty and those who help in the care of those individuals. That if we've now got all of these new rules, we have to wear a mask, we can't shake hands, we have to stay 6 feet apart. Remembering new information can be challenging for people with dementia. Plus, normal daily routines have been affected by most of us, I think. And so if a person's living with short-term memory loss, that daily routine is really important for them. Well, unfortunately, a lot of those basic activities have now been disrupted, the routine of those. Plus, with wearing a mask, that takes away from important nonverbal communication that we get when we see a person's whole face. So I just want to acknowledge that COVID-19, hopefully it's on its way out and we never see it again. But in the meantime, I think when we work with individuals who have some short-term memory trouble, some dementia, it's really important to just provide that little extra TLC, that little extra reassurance, a little extra slowing down until we get through this period of COVID. Now, the program also wants us to understand how the brain can change when a person has dementia. This is kind of an unusual way to describe how the brain changes. This woman relates it to a bookcase, 2 bookcases actually. So let's take a listen here.
Hi, I'd like to explain dementia to you in the way that it was explained to me. I'd like to picture that I'm an 80-year-old woman standing here, and that beside me there is a bookcase that's as tall as I am and is filled with books. Now, each of those books represents a fact or a date or a number or a memory that I've gained in the last 80 years of my life. So right at the top, my most recent memory, so what I had for breakfast, getting dressed this morning. The next shelf down might be things that are a little bit less recent, so maybe my last holiday, what I did at Christmas, maybe the last time you came to visit me. The next shelf down by my shoulders will be my 70s, my 60s, my 50s, my 20s will be down by my knees, and my childhood memories will be all the way down by my feet. So that is the bookcase that makes up me. Now, when I get hit by dementia, what's going to happen is that my bookcase is going to start to rock, and I'm going to start losing those books, starting from the ones on the top, which may explain why my short-term memory is likely to be affected first. So, as my dementia progresses, I might find myself having lost not only the top shelf, but the next one down and the next. I might find myself living in the 1950s. Now, embrace my reality. I go into my kitchen today to make myself a cup of tea. What do you think? Given that I'm expecting a 1950s kitchen, what's a likely accident that I might have? If you've thought putting an electric kettle on a hob, that's absolutely right. Now, as my carer, as my relative, you might be tempted to say, we shouldn't let her make tea anymore, that's really dangerous. But there is a simpler solution, which might be to just change my kettle from an electric one to a whistling kettle, because that's what I'm expecting, and I know how to use that. And I learned how to use a whistling kettle all the way down in my childhood, so that memory is likely to stay with me a lot longer. That's not going to help everybody with dementia, but it might help me at this particular stage. Now, I talked about this one bookcase that's got all these facts and memories and numbers, and that's quite a flimsy bookcase, and when that gets hit by dementia, it rocks a lot. Now, this bookcase is representing a part of my brain called the hippocampus, which is more susceptible to dementia. However, my feelings and my emotions, the things that make me who I am and the reasons why you love me, they're all managed separately by a different part of the brain called the amygdala. And that's all here in a separate bookcase. It's a really strong oak bookcase. And when that gets hit by dementia, it's not going to move very much. Let me explain to you how the two bookcases work together. So when I was a child, I had a teacher. He's on the hippocampus bookcase. He was incredibly inspiring. And the way that he made me feel, inspired, in awe, that is stored in a separate book on my amygdala bookcase. So the teacher is on the hippocampus, but the way I felt, that's going to be managed by the amygdala. Now let's bring it back to today, where I'm the 80-year-old woman. I have dementia. You come to visit me. So that's a fact. That happens here. And we have a blazing row. I'm probably going to feel upset, sad, angry, and that's going to go onto the amygdala in a book here. You might go away thinking, it doesn't really matter. She'll forget that I even came to visit, let alone that we had a row. And you know what? You're probably right. That book will probably go. But what's likely to stay with me are those feelings, those emotions, that anger, and with nothing to relate it to, it might be really confusing for me. But let me leave you with a positive example. Say you come to visit me and you take me out to the seaside and we have a great time. So here it is, the seaside, the waves, the great time, the feelings of safety and happiness and love that I feel are held over here in the amygdala. As soon as we get back to my house, I've forgotten where we've been. That book is gone. And you might think, oh, it's just not worth it. Why do I bother? I don't think I'm going to carry on visiting her. But look over here. Those feelings, that safety, that warmth, that's going to stay with me for a lot longer. So I would like to encourage you to continue to visit and to care for the people that you know, relatives, friends who have dementia, and to remember that there is more to the person than the dementia. Thank you.
I think you'll agree that that was kind of an interesting way to describe how the brain changes. This picture here is more of a scientific sketch, and you do see that there are some changes that happen in advanced dementia and in all stages of dementia. However, when you look at that picture, you see that there are areas of the brain that have not changed, and they're not going to change with dementia. And those are the areas of our brain that are responsible for our emotions to be loved, treated with respect and dignity, and to be included in activities, to be included in conversations. Very, very important video that we just saw. So a lot of the brain does change, but yet there are areas that are never going to change. And so we always need to treat, just, you know, we hear this message all the time, just treating each other with dignity and respect, correct? But so important for those that are showing changes because of their dementia. There are a lot of changes that can occur. And these are the classic 10 early signs and symptoms of dementia. But I want to really point out that in this list that you're about to see, there are a lot of these symptoms that can be due to non-dementia illnesses. For example, if I am dealing with an infection, COVID, or it might be something as simple as a bladder infection, that can change my ability to remember. It can make me confused. If I take a lot of different medications, sometimes they interact with each other and they cause trouble with memory or confusion. If I'm not sleeping well, if I'm severely depressed or stressed, those can affect my memory as well. So my message here is that dementia is not a self-diagnosing condition. It takes a physician, a nurse practitioner, it takes a professional medical person to sort all this out, to do some blood work, to take a look at the brain through an MRI or a CAT scan, and to just do a lot of history and physical on that individual to kind of sort out all these symptoms. So I hope you remember that and take that message away, that you're coming up here, you're going to see a lot of different things, but they're not always due to dementia. Now, in a person who has a diagnosis of dementia, you might see some of these symptoms, you might see all of the symptoms. We have this saying that we use with individuals that have dementia. If you've seen one individual living with dementia, you've seen one individual living with dementia. No two people are going to experience the disease the same. When you think about how unique our brains are, how different they are from each other, you can understand how, if there's a disease that affects the brain, that we're all going to be showing different symptoms. So the first classic symptom is the memory loss, and we're always talking about short-term memory. As I pointed out, long-term memories remain intact well into the disease. So with the short-term memory loss, you might see a repeating of questions or stories, or forgetting recently learned information. Now, what's typical aging down here is that sometimes we might forget a name or an appointment, but we remember it later. So that's what I like about this set of signs and symptoms. It tells you what the symptom is, but it also tells you what typical aging looks like. And again, you're going to be getting a copy of these slides. So I'm going to be going through these a little bit quickly, but knowing that you'll have this to refer back to. Another sign and symptom is challenges in planning or solving problems. So it might look like planning a meal becomes more difficult, planning a shopping trip, renewing medications in a timely manner, trouble with familiar tasks at home. And in the video, she talked about the woman who forgot how to make her tea, that she was setting a kettle on a hob, and that, or the electric kettle on the hob, and that was not going to be a good outcome. So people with dementia have trouble remembering the steps of a task. For example, running my washing machine. It seems like maybe that only has 2 or 3 different steps, but when you really break it down, there's a lot of steps to doing my laundry. The next one is confusion with the time or place. So just losing track of the date and the time. Again, what's normal is that we might forget what day of the week it is, but we're able to figure it out. We're able to go to our phones. We're able to go look at a calendar. We're able to ask somebody. But an individual with dementia might lose track of what year we're in, what month we're in. Another sign and symptom that a lot of times people aren't aware of is that it can affect how we judge where things are in space. It affects our visual images and spatial relationships. So judging distances can be difficult, and that obviously can affect driving. There's a lot of judgment involved with driving, and if we can't judge how far that car is in front of me, I won't be able to judge when I need to apply the brakes. In the home, it can look like bumping into furniture, tripping and falling because I don't see that rug where it's actually at. Trouble with words, both speaking and writing. So difficulty coming up with the right word, being easily distracted during a conversation, just difficulty tracking a conversation can be one of the early signs and symptoms of the disease. So oftentimes we find that individuals are not as talkative, but go back to that video. We need to include individuals. We need to invite individuals. Even if they're not as conversational as they once were, they still need to be invited and participate in the conversation in other ways. The seventh sign is misplacing things. And the key here is losing the ability to retrace steps to find it. What's typical aging is we might misplace something from time to time, but we're able to figure out where to look for it. We're able to figure out where it might be. An individual with dementia might put an item in a non-typical place. I put the remote control to my TV in the dresser drawer. The eighth sign is decreased or poor judgment. We have to be aware that unfortunately, a lot of times this has to do with finances. That, in fact, is one of the early signs of dementia, is inability to manage finances in a typical way. Also, lack of awareness for personal safety, walking away or driving away. Withdrawing from work or social activities is another symptom that a lot of times people aren't aware of. So disengaging from social or community groups, or individuals that stop attending their community of faith that they've been part of. Well, that's been interrupted with COVID, I understand, but pre-COVID, that's a good example, I guess. So I'd like to bring in brain health with this one. And you might say, well, why brain health? Well, for all of us, no matter what our age or ability is, the second best thing we can do for brain health is to stay socially active. In fact, the more groups that you're part of, the better. When I get together with my college friends, we talk about a whole different range of topics than when I get together with my neighbor. We talk about different things. So the more diverse groups you can be part of, the better it is for your brain health. You might be wondering, what's the single best thing I can do for my brain health? And that's just to physically exercise, to stay physically active. The second one is to stay socially active. The third thing that's good for brain health is nutrition. The Mediterranean diet, where we rely on more fresh fruits and vegetables, more fish, less red meat. There's also a couple other diets that are good for the brain called the DASH diet, D-A-S-H, excuse me, the DASH diet. And the third diet is a MIND diet, M-I-N-D. So we've got the Mediterranean, the DASH, and the MIND diet, if you want to look those up. Those are heart healthy diets, and they're also brain healthy diets. The last area for brain health that we talk about is using your brain in new and complex ways, novel and complex ways. So for me, this would be perhaps learning how to play chess, I don't know how to play it, and it seems like it's complex to me. Now, if it's frustrating for me, I'm going to drop it. That's not good for my brain to be frustrated and get upset. So, but I'm going to look for novel and complex activities, or I'm going to relearn things. I took Spanish in high school, and I could relearn my Spanish. That would be good for my brain. Musical activities are excellent for the brain. So just challenging your brain, use it in ways that you typically don't. If you're a reader, that's great, but try a different author, try a different subject matter. I think you get the point here. So to review, 4 areas for brain health. Number 1, physical exercise. Number 2, socialize. Number 3, nutrition. And number 4 is using your brain in new and novel ways. The last sign is change in mood and personality. Now, not everyone experiences mood swings or a shift in personality when they have dementia. Other people have a lot of change. So again, it really just varies on the individual. So those are the classic 10 signs and symptoms of the disease. You can review these later when you get the slide deck. And also on our website, I'll show you some supplemental materials that talk more about some of these signs and symptoms. Marla, is there anything in the chat or anything that you want to add? Bonnie, anybody else?
I think you covered it really well, Marty.
Thank you. Thank you. So the 5 key messages of this program are that dementia is not a normal part of aging. It's a disease process that affects the brain, and it's more than just about losing memory. It affects other areas that we just talked about. The 2 most important messages of this program: it's possible to live well with dementia, and there's more to the person than the dementia. And I hope that that message has come through with some of these videos. This is the last video I'm going to show you, and this is 5 individuals who are living with dementia, and their messages really relate to those 5 key messages that this program wants us all to understand.
I found myself saying something or trying to say something, and then I realized that the word didn't even fit in that I said or something like that. So I just kept, thinking about it, and it didn't happen every day. It didn't happen, hardly at all. And then it just kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse.
I think some of the family members thought something was off, I guess. Did any of them think dementia? Probably not.
When you're used to doing things and doing it right and doing it, and all of a sudden, you can't remember this, and you can't, what is your name? And, it's like a dark area. It's just like being in darkness,
I think everybody that with this disease, people walk away from them. They're afraid they're going to catch it, like measles or mumps. And that bothers me that they do that.
I have to be aware that any moment my brain might not tell me where to go.
My first reaction was that I'm going to beat this disease.
I can't spell anything like I used to be able to just spell, you just write a check. Now I'm not clear what the thing is, how you do it or anything. All that stuff that I thought I was so good at is gone. or on the way gone.
Remembering names. I think that's the biggest issue with me.
People sometimes would kind of look at you kind of strange because I'm not saying what they want me to say or talk the way they want me to talk.
When I started putting my shirts on backwards, that was one of my early signs too.
Walking, that's why I have a cane now, and because I have a tendency to rock sideways, and I don't want to trip or fall.
Darkness is not good for me, and I tend to trip or fall, and my coordination isn't as it used to be.
Oh, I don't cook anymore either, because when I cook, and it doesn't matter if someone's in the house or not, I just start cooking and I forget about using, what do you use when you cook? What? Stove. The stove. I forget every time to turn it off. Every time I've cooked, no matter who's there.
Right now, like I'm doing really good because I have someone that takes care of me really good, you know.
Be active in the community still. Go to yoga, do things like that. Don't do it so well, but that's okay.
Staying active, even a little bit active, keeps you interested.
And I like to be around people.
When people would struggle, I'd go over and help them. And I found it very uplifting to help other people.
You know, you can't deny this disease. If you deny it, you're going to get in trouble.
The singing is very, very good to the brain. We know that. And the more we can do that, the better off we'll be.
People that have dementia, I think, are very unique. And I think they have a lot to offer still.
It's an attitude here. You have to get up in the morning and say, okay, I got to do this today. Even if it's just one thing.
I can say to a person that it's going to be all right. And I can say to a person that depend on God. Because with God, everything is possible.
I'm not ashamed of it. And nobody should be. I mean, I had cancer. Was I ashamed of having cancer? No. Why would I be? You know? Why should I be ashamed of having dementia?
I've lasted 14 years with this disease. It's not going to go away. I accept that. Only thing I guess with my future is that I'll work as hard as I can to stay alive and function.
That's the last of the videos. And again, I think a really important one, probably the most important of the three, is to hear from individuals how they are affected by the disease, but yet so many abilities remain, and optimism and ability to join in activities, which again is the whole premises of this program, is that we as community members engage and communicate effectively with those that have some memory trouble. A lot of that communication is so important to help people get through those everyday tasks. Here's that washing machine that I referred to earlier.
Hey,
Five
Marty,
disease. Yes.
Before you get to that, I just wanted to let you know we got this wonderful chat from Ruth, who was saying that because I think this will apply to lots of other people, her mom, who's living with dementia, is living with her, and she has decided to buy a bunch of board games, and learning the new instructions is something that is proving to be very useful. So I just wanted to make sure that that was maybe something that Ruth has helped us in our presentation.
Yeah, thank you for that example. That's great. I love to hear those. I love that you're sharing those, and I encourage you to put more of those in. Totally agree. Board games are great. They're social. Board games are social, and there's all different levels of board games. So again, those are good brain activities. They're good social engagements. If that game seems a little bit too difficult, you just modify it. You change the rules, or you go to a different kind of game. So thank you for that example, Ruth. And thanks, Bonnie, for sharing that. When you look at these 5 easy steps to running this washing machine, well, you know, it's really not 5 easy steps, is it? In fact, if you think about a task like brushing your teeth, you might think, oh, there's 5 or 10 steps. That's what I did anyhow before I really got into this program. But if we put those all together, I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to think about in your head, count up how many steps you think there might be. I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to do that. When you start with that list, you got to think about which bathroom is my toothbrush in. I need to open the door, turn on the light. I need to find my toothbrush. There's multiple drawers or cupboards. Which one do I keep it in? Or is it on the counter? Which kind of water do I turn on? I didn't realize until I started doing this program that some people use hot water to brush their teeth. Here's some more. Taking the lid off the toothpaste. I squeeze the toothpaste on the brush, but how long do I squeeze? Is it the size of a pea, or is it the size of a quarter? I need to recap my toothpaste. If I use an electric toothbrush, where's the on-off switch? Rinsing, flossing, mouthwash, denture care, finishing up, cleaning up, and putting all the products back where they belong. So, wow, there's over 40 steps to the task of brushing your teeth. So I think as the girl in the bookcase video mentioned, we don't want to stop someone from making tea. We just want to adapt that activity. We want to find ways to support the person in that activity so that things like brushing the teeth and making a pot of tea, running the washing machine, the individual can still help with those tasks. It's just we might need to insert some support here. The way we can best support people, I think, is through how we communicate. Our facial expressions, the words that we use, and how we listen to people. Let me do a little exercise with you. It may take somebody up to 20 seconds to hear what you've said, to process that information, and to formulate their response. Might take the person with dementia up to 20 seconds to do all that. 20 seconds to me sounds like the blink of an eye, but go. Now that was 10 seconds that I just counted off, 10 seconds. It can take double that amount for a person with dementia to hear, understand, and formulate the response. So right here, we just need to slow our pace, keep the sentences simple, speak clearly, and watch our body language calmly. Individuals living with dementia might not understand the words that are said, but they will always, I'm going to repeat that, they will always understand how the information was presented to them. Was that person calm in their delivery, or were they short? So these are a lot of great communication tips that I'm going to show you. We're not going to take the time to go through each one individually, but again, you'll be able to have this list to refer back to. In most of my presentations, the comments that I get from the audience are these two right here. avoid criticizing and correcting, and avoid arguing. 99% of the time, if it's incorrect, it really doesn't matter. If I'm living with dementia and I tell you that, by golly, I can't believe that it's July already. Well, chances are you knew I meant to say January, but I just inserted the wrong J month of the year. I said July instead of January. You don't need to correct me. You don't need to tell me I'm wrong. We just continue with the conversation. So we encourage people to just pause and ask yourself, does it matter? So what? And 99% of the time, you're just going to be able to proceed with that conversation. Encouraging gestures, asking a person to point to what they're referring to. Coming from the front when you're starting a conversation. Coming from the side or the back may be confusing for that person. So get at eye level, call the person by their preferred name. Now, notice that doesn't say their first name because that might not be their preferred name. Perhaps they want to be addressed as Reverend Jones or Mr. Smith, or maybe their given name is William, but they've always gone by Bill or Billy. So get to know what the preferred name is. Limit the questions. Try to turn the question into a statement. Instead of, do you want to go to the store today? You turn that into, I'm thinking about going to the store. And then that kind of opens for that person to respond. But you haven't asked them a direct yes or no question. Avoid confusing and vague statements. I like this bottom one here. Get rid of as many pronouns as possible. Instead of saying, she'll be here later. Well, Dorothy will come over after lunch is a lot more specific. Getting rid of as many negatives as possible. Instead of saying, we can't do that, you say, let's do this, or we'll do it later. So just a lot of great communication tips that you see here. I'm sure you've got some of your own that you can add. And we just ask that you share these with other individuals because they're just a great list here. So let's review those 5 important key messages: that dementia is not a normal part of aging, that is caused by diseases of the brain. And Jerry in the video, or Bruce, excuse me, Bruce in the video said that when people learn that he has dementia, they treat him like he has the mumps or the measles. This is not a communicable disease. It affects the brain, and we need to see it as that. Dementia is not just about losing your memory. It involves things like cooking, where Jan said she can't cook anymore or write checks because she doesn't remember those processes. But still a lot of things that person can get involved in their community. Possible to live well with dementia. Jerry talked about how he likes to sing and help other individuals, and Karen does her yoga, and that there's more to the person than the dementia. So 5 really important key messages that we want you to share with others, to kind of keep tucked in the back of your mind. So we're getting toward the end of the program, and I said that this is not only an education program, but it's a call to action. We want to encourage people to think about what they can do to affect the life of someone that's living with dementia. These are just some examples here, but certainly you might come up with one of your own. And then we encourage you to think about putting that in that other column here. So all sorts of examples of things that we can do, big and small, but we want to encourage people to do something and to keep doing it and to hopefully add to their list of actions. to stay connected as a new dementia friend, and you're going to be getting a certificate that says I'm a dementia friend. To stay connected, you can do that through our website, Ohio Council for Cognitive Health. You can do that through Dementia Friends USA. They have both a website and a Facebook page and a Twitter account. So we want to keep hearing from you in terms of your ideas, your actions, your questions. And you can always go through Marla and others at Kendal. You can always go through Jennifer Brush. Speaking of which, Jennifer helped develop these quick tip sheets that we have. We actually have 12 with different topics. So if you're wondering, I need some more tips on communication, or I need more tips on brain health, or I want to better understand some of the other types of dementia, these 2-page quick tip sheets are wonderful. You can find them on our website. You can download them. You can print them off. You can share with other people. And more recently, what we've done is we've created these nice little 2-minute animated videos that go with some of these topics. So for example, this one is on decluttering. How can you start to declutter? Because we realize that a person with dementia that lives with a lot of what I'll say stuff, it can be confusing. It can be overwhelming. It can be actually a safety hazard. So we have a little 2-minute video on how to start to declutter. We've got one on how to communicate, how to set up a memory book, which can be a great tool for helping individuals not only remember things, but also to engage with things that they might have forgotten. So I hope you check out these quick tip sheets on our website and these quick tip videos. I think you're really going to love them. When you get a copy of this slide deck, this link right here is going to be live for you. So you just have to click on it. And this website's going to be live. You can just click on it to take you where you need to go. The same way with these resources, I've put together a list of resources in Cuyahoga County and in Ohio and throughout the nation. And these links are going to be live for you as well. For example, the local Alzheimer's Association, there's the link for that organization, or the Alzheimer's Foundation of America. If you're dealing with a particular type of dementia, there are some dementia specific websites that you'll see here. If you're a veteran, I would really suggest that you check into what kind of services might be available through your local county Veteran Service Commission. You get the idea here, lots of different resources to find your senior center in your area. There's a link there, and your area agency on aging, which can be a wonderful resource for caregivers and individuals with dementia. So a lot of different resources there, and our contact information, Dr. Burman's contact information, and my information is available there for you. And just my reference page for this presentation. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I have about 4 minutes till noon. I see Marla, you've popped up there again.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm going to turn it back to you.
Oh, sure. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Bonnie or Marty, or Barty, if you put the two together, sorry, you can click on chat below and type those in. Thank you so much, Marty, for the information. This is my now 2nd or 3rd training in the last just couple weeks. And every time you go through this training, you kind of glean another tidbit of information. So that video with the bookcase analogy is just such a poignant way to help understand the progression of dementia. We're just getting a well done, thank you, sent to us from Sue. So we appreciate that.
So Marla, it's funny that you said, this is Bonnie, that you heard something new, and I've been, thinking about this program forever, yet I heard something new also. So I just wanted to share that Marty, when you were talking about brushing your teeth and all of the steps, that I started to think about, now I understand why someone who has an early or middle stage of dementia, when they're asked, did you brush your teeth? They might say yes, because they're a little embarrassed, but they couldn't figure it out. And we know that dental problems are really important with dementia and as we age. And it made me think about somebody I'm working with and think, I wonder if that's what I'm doing wrong. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you. Jody's asking if this information will be available on our member portal. And yes, Jody, it will, but you will also get the slide deck available to you. We can send it to you as well. Just that point that you went over, Marty, of it's not just what we say, it's how we say it, and those visuals that the person observes in your mannerisms as you deliver a message or make a comment is just so hugely impactful. And I think that's something we definitely lose sight of. We might be frustrated with someone with memory loss or be delivering a message, and how that body language during that message delivery, how that sits with that individual is just so huge that I think it's something we don't often think of. So I appreciate you.
So Marla, I just wanted to add to that with when Marty did the 20 seconds, but only the 10 seconds. The other part of that I find so interesting is that if someone knows that they're not going to have enough time, they actually stop even thinking about responding. And so that gets the brain actually very lazy, because you say, like, I think that if I went through the alphabet, I would figure out what her name was, but I know nobody's going to give me the time to do that. So I'll just say, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so there was an amazing impact of that 20 seconds, not just for that event, but as a practice.
I think answering questions for people kind of goes along with that too, giving them the time to respond. And even if you're going to physicians' offices, speaking to the patient, not to the family member who might be with them, and giving that time to respond is huge and goes right along with that too.
So Marla, what we would also like to leave the group with, because I can tell how engaged folks are, is that would love to, if you have the time at some point, to think about, well, now everybody's a dementia friend here. What would they like to do? What might Kendal at home help lead by listening to what popped for folks? And there are lots of opportunities to learn more, and we would be very, very happy to provide whatever the group thinks they need as a next step.
Excellent. We appreciate that. And I want our members that are listening to know that all of our staff actually at Kendal at Home are dementia friends now as well. So we're able to provide these trainings, or a few dementia champions, provide trainings like this to our members and to their families as well, and into the community, which we'll be doing down the road here. So
an example, Marla, just to give one, like if there's someone on the call that says, oh my gosh, I was at the grocery store, and boy, could that person at the checkout line have needed this information with someone. That's the kind of thing that we love to hear, because we will go in and help so that grocery store really, or Marla and the group is more dementia friendly and more inclusive, and so that the person you saw feels more comfortable.
Excellent.
We really appreciate Kendal at Home getting so many champions trained. I don't know how many there are. I'd have to go back and look, Marla, but I probably 10 or more of the staff at Kendal at Home are champions. And that means they've made the commitment, they've taken the time to do the extra training to be able to present this program. So that's the only way we're going to reach Ohio with this information, is through our champions. So we really appreciate Kendal doing that.
We're happy to do it. Thank you so much. If you have a question, now's the time to type it into the chat. I see several people just thanking you very much for the program. They appreciate it and appreciate your time. So with that, your care coordinators do have access to all of the handouts and links that Marty was referring to as well. So if you maybe are not as computer savvy, the care coordinators can provide to you the handouts and the local resources in your county too. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Bonnie, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.